Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, I'm going to do a quick wake-up call, and I'll put the number of minutes on the title so you'll know. So I don't want to just call it a 10-minute wake-up call because it's never just 10-minute wake-up call. But hey, a few of you have shot me a comment asking me when I haven't done the wake-up call for the last few days. Well, I've been kind of burning the candle at both ends, trying to get all of my last-minute projects done before winter hits, even though we're still technically in summer here in Alaska. But that's why I haven't recorded anything for the past few days. However, I did put something together just to give you guys a taste of the times we're in and to maybe keep you awake as to the fact that we are going to be heading towards some kind of an economic crisis. And now it's not just air quotes conspiracy theory. Now, as you can see, for the last few months, it's even been spouted by the mainstream media. So now it's not only alternate media outlets that are warning or shouting the warning signals of an economic crisis, but the mainstream media is getting in on it as well. So I just wanted to show you a few examples, and the dates of these articles are all scattered. So they're all within this year, but they're not like yesterday's articles. They're all scattered within months of each other, but still same effect. So here, the first one that I came across from CNBC: Nobel winner Robert Shiller warns of an economic crisis from trade war threats. So this person here thinks that we may have an economic crisis due to the trade war that we are either in or entering due to the tariffs that are being put in place. Okay. Another one: warning about the next economic crisis from leaders who battled the last one. Okay, and this one's pretty recent, and as you can see that there, that's Helicopter Ben Bernanke, the Fed chairman that was before Janet Yellen. So he's the one that was the Fed chair during the 2008, as they call it, Great Recession. The next one: it's just chaos. Nobel Prize winning economist Robert Shiller, same thing, worse of an economic crisis is brewing. So this is from a different article. So even though this is from the same, it's pretty much the same perspective as the very first article here, Schiller, I just want to show you all that it's no longer alternative media sources that are reporting this. All right, so that's what I wanted to show you. It's being put out there in plain sight for people to see that something will be happening. Okay, the organic prepper: economic experts are warning of a looming financial crisis, but no one wants to listen. Okay, and some of these articles go back to before President Trump started putting tariffs on countries for the goods. Okay, so it's not just to tariffs. One thing that I wanted to reiterate is that, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter what causes the next economic crisis. I'm trying to call it a crisis so I don't want to be a doom and gloomer. I think it's going to be much greater than a crisis. I think it's going to be extremely worse than 2008. But that's what I'm going to call it, since these articles here are calling it a crisis. Okay, it doesn't matter what causes it. It's like some people argue the reason why Venezuela is going through what they're going through. Okay, some argue that yes, the U.S. intervened in their financial process by kicking them off the SWIFT system, therefore they couldn't trade with other countries. We attacked the value of their bolivar by bringing down the cost or the price of oil. There's 100 things you can probably line up next to each other that helped to cause the crisis in Venezuela. We can blame it on socialism, we can blame it on interventionism, we can blame it on the price of oil, We can blame it on 100 things, right? But what I want to put across is this: is it doesn't matter why it happens. Okay? All that matters is that it does happen. Okay? If you ask all of these people from 2008, if you ask all the people who found themselves homeless, without a home, who had to give up their houses, who had to claim bankruptcy, at that time, if you would have asked them, do you care about why this happened? They would have been like, hell no, I don't care why this happened. I just care that it happened. I wish I'd have known so I could have prepared. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's not why, it's not the reason. The reason why something happens is something that you look back at in order to not let it occur again. It's not something that you try to decipher when it actually happened, because there's nothing you can do about it. If something happens right now, there's nothing I can do about it. All I can do is react to what's happening. I can't prepare for something that's happening right now unless I was already prepared for it. So that's one point that I want to put forward, is that you look at all of these different outlets. You look at everyone's different opinions. Some people think it's the bond market that's going to take us out. Some people think it's going to be a dollar crisis where the dollar is going to lose value. Some people think that the dollar is going to go way up and then it's going to go way down. Okay? Some people think that we're at peak oil. Some people think we're at peak gold. Some people think that it's because of food, because we're not going to be able to grow enough food. All of these things, ladies and gentlemen, you just have to remember to prepare, all right? If you're preparing for a financial collapse, then hedge yourself against the dollar. And how do you hedge yourself against the dollar? Well, in my opinion, a really good way to hedge yourself against the dollar is by having your 5 B's. Having food, water, shelter, medicine, self-defense, wealth preservation in the form of precious metals. In my case, I have a little bit of crypto, okay? But I know that's not to everyone's taste, which is fine, because you are the captain of your ship. But you prepare, and whatever happens, happens. But at least you'll have those things that you need in order to make it through to the other side. And for those of you that are very well off in paper assets, i.e. dollar, bonds, mutual funds, 401ks, Roth IRAs, all these things, just remember that all of these things are just digital assets, okay? They are centralized digital assets. And why is it important for me to say that they are centralized digital assets? Because when they are centralized, they are not 100% in your control. All right? When you put money in the bank, you have to ask for it to get it back. You can't just take it out. If you have $1 million in the bank right now, go ahead, go to your bank and see if you can take out $1 million in cash. Okay? That's what I mean by that. They are centralized. If you think that you have 100% control of your fiat currency that you have in a bank or in a Roth IRA or IRA, whatever it is, go try to cash that out. I mean cash it out. Right? Go to the bank, say, hey, give me $1 million that I have in here. I want $1 million in cash. It's not going to happen. Okay? And if you are lucky enough to get that, it'll probably take several weeks for you to get that cash. So that's what I mean by centralized control. Okay? So what I'm trying to put out here is not that there's going to be a crisis of one sort or the other, but that there is going to be a crisis. I mean, I can do another video just like this, but the Ice Age farmer does a great job. Christian does a great job in doing those videos, so I'll leave it up to him because he's way better at that. I can do another video just like this, replacing it with food shortages throughout the world. All right, so what is it that's going to bring us down? I don't know. All I know is that I'm going to prepare the best that I can to make sure that my family has the things that they need in order to survive any crisis and to make it through to the other side where we can keep somewhat of a standard of living close to what we have now. Okay, so here's another one, and here's Ray Dalio again. Ray Dalio, we are in the 7th inning of the current economic cycle. Okay, so if you guys have ever heard of a micro and macro economic cycle, usually the micro cycle or the short cycle is usually about an 8-9 year cycle. And the macro cycle is usually about an 80 plus year cycle. Okay, so he says here that we're getting pretty close to the end of the cycle. Here's another one. Oh, this is the same guy, Dalio. The next financial crisis will be more severe, socially and politically. Okay, so look, they're putting this out for us to see, and this one was here just a day ago, September 12th, yesterday. Okay, they're putting this out for us to see. Okay, and the thing is, most people probably won't pay attention, and you can't blame a lot of people that they're not going to pay attention, because what's happened to the American, family, they went from being able to provide for their family with a one income, all right, with one income, being able to provide for their family, buy a car, buy a house, send their kids to college without loan with one income. We went from that to having to have a two earners in the household. So now we need, most families have two earners in the household, and that's just enough for them to stay in debt. So they're making just enough money to stay broke, in other words. Okay, and if their kids want to go to college, they either have to work their hind ends off, like my son's doing. He's working and paying his way through, but most kids don't have that mentality nowadays. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good quote right there. Well, not a quote, I just made it up, but that most families today make just enough money to stay broke. Whereas 50, 60, 70 years ago, most families only required one income for them to live a very good life, a very good standard of living. Whereas today it's the opposite. Okay, so today people are just interested in making money and being able to keep their heads above water. That's what I'm getting at. So most people don't have the time to find out what's really going on, to do some investigative research for themselves. Most people don't have that time. Okay, so what do? They just go with the flow. That's it. They just go with the flow. And when something happens, they are the ones that get hurt the most because they were not in the know. But now more articles are coming out, and more warnings are being put out. And I think that just like every other time, people aren't going to listen, and a lot of people are going to lose a lot of what they have. Okay, here's another one. The end really is near. A play-by-play of the coming economic collapse. All right, so here's another one pretty much telling you. This article here, I obviously didn't copy the whole article because I wanted to go through this quickly, but you all are seeing the names of the articles. You can type these in and Google them, and you should be able to bring them right up. But there's one here saying the end is really near. And it gives you a play-by-play of how that author thinks it's going to happen. Here's from Fox News. The coming collapse of the American economic system. Man, it's all over the place, okay? And here's one by Steve Quayle. Now, he is an alternative media guy, but he has something here. It says 20 things you will need to survive when the economy collapses and the next Great Depression begins. So this is a guy here that really believes that we're going to have a major economic collapse and we're going to be into a depression and not a recession. Okay, and I'm going to read these off for you because I don't think that you can really see these too well. They're kind of small, but it's just basic stuff. Okay, I'm not sure if the order that he put them in is the order by which you should prioritize these things, but of course everyone's different. I don't agree with the order of this list, but I do agree with the things that are in it. So it says here storable food, clean water, shelter, warm clothing, an axe, lighters and matches, hiking boots, flashlights, a lantern, radio, communication equipment, okay, a Swiss Army knife, personal hygiene items, and the list goes on, ladies and gentlemen. You guys can go ahead and take up this list here. It's stevequayle.com, and that's on his website if you wanted to read that. But one thing that he did put out here that I would like to read, and I was able to enlarge this a little bit, is this. It says, right now, the U.S. Strategic Grain Reserve contains only enough wheat to make half a loaf of bread for each of the approximately 300 million people in the United States. How long do you think that will last? And then he warns, now is the time to get ready. Now is the time to prepare. The United States economy is going to collapse, and incredibly hard times are coming. Will you be able to survive when it happens? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and the time, ladies and gentlemen, is getting short. Like I said, there's people that have been saying this for the last 5-6 years, and it hasn't happened yet. Well, it's going to happen eventually. So would you rather be prepared 10 years early, or would you rather start preparing one day too late? Because if you start preparing when the shelves at Walmart are empty, then that's going to be too late. Okay? So what time is it? Do you think it's this time? I think it's this time. I don't think we've got minutes. I think we've got seconds. Okay? So do you guys have this? Do you guys have these? Do you have these? Or something that you can use to defend yourselves and your family? Do you have some of this? Something that you can use to defend your store of value or to defend your wealth. Okay? And if you have all of these things, you can use it for barter, you can use it for self-use, self-preservation. Then you'll be prepared. But ladies and gentlemen, I do think that the time is this. I think that the time is coming to where if you're not prepared and you just started prepping, if you're blessed enough to just find this channel and join this great community and you still are not a prepper, the time is now, ladies and gentlemen, to start getting prepared. Okay, the time is now. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I have to get ready to go to work, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Not trying to bring you guys down, but trying to bring you guys a dose of reality. This is reality. And now, as you can see, the mainstream is starting to put it in our faces. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that too many people will listen. But those of you that do listen, you guys are the ones that are going to make it through to the other side and be able to do well for yourselves and your families. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, having said that, thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for asking me where I was at. That was pretty cool. I think it's very nice of you to show a bit of concern. I think that's pretty cool. Anyways, many blessings to all of you. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place. And you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper, and I'm out.